Hi, hello. So, I don't think that in my last Oblivion video I was very clear about what actually happened in regards to an NPC that sort of glitched out on me and how. So, I'm going to go over it real quick just so it's not confusing to viewers. I'm sure that the specificity of how NPCs in older games, specifically like Bethesda, tend to act a little janky, especially to anyone who isn't a millennial who dealt with them before the Game of the Year editions came out. So, I was playing Elder Scrolls Oblivion, doing a Fighters Guild mission to expose the Blackwood Company who are taking jobs away from them. The main Fighters Guild mission hander outerer, named Modryn Oreyn, wanted to investigate how they managed to complete a job that he was thoroughly convinced they couldn't have done without cutting corners, having failed that very same mission himself. Normally, Modryn resides in the Chorrol Fighters Guild Hall, but to start this mission, he asks to meet the player in the Leyawiin headquarters, where the Blackwater Company has taken up root. And this is when I start scribbling on the map. So Chorrol is up here, and he wants to meet down here in Leyawiin. Whoop. Boop. When you're ready to start the mission, you can find him in the Leyawiin Fighters Guild Hall, and he is coded to have you follow him out of the city to a nearby ruins where the job in question is to take place. Let's say the ruins are like here, and then you have to go out from the city, along the road, to get there. Once you get there, you'll discover that there was no battle on that site. Modryn surmises that the Blackwood Company paid off the bandits to move camp instead of defeating them. You and him then skip north a bit to a slightly further ruins, where you do find the bandits and expose his suspicions as true. So, let's say that those ruins are here, and then you have to skip from here to there. From there, you're supposed to kill the bandit leader and use his ring as proof that the Blackwood Company didn't do their job. Now, being the idiot that I am, halfway through the secondary ruins and fighting the bandits, I decided I was carrying too much and needed to take an intermission to sell stuff back in Leyawiin. So I fast traveled to the town, sold my stuff, and then I fast traveled back over here. It was at that time that I realized I didn't know where Modryn was. He's missing. Unperturbed, I continued on without him because in older games like Oblivion, I don't like having companions. Even if they're immune to death, which Modryn was, there's always some dumb shit that can make it happen anyways. So I went about killing the bandit leader and taking his ring. There was still no sign of Modryn when I walked out of the ruins and fast traveled back to Leyawiin once again. Mission complete, I fast travel from here to here. But then, there he was. Modryn the man himself. He was in Leyawiin over by the gates. Awesome, I thought. I'll just hand in the quest. But nope. Talking to him, Modryn acknowledged that the bandit leader was dead, but wouldn't let that line of dialogue trigger into completing the mission or accepting the ring from me, which is what he wanted. Then I noticed that he was walking, but only when I got near him. If he was walking back to HQ in Chorrol, which again is all the way up here, he wouldn't need me to be within proximity, which meant, yeah, when I'd fast traveled mid-quest back to town, he'd fast traveled with me at that time, but he was still coded that if the mission was unfinished and he was in Leyawiin, he needed to escort me to the ruins. Which meant, once again, we have to walk by foot all the way back out, past there, all the way back to here. So I had to painstakingly walk with him within proximity all the way back to the ruins that we'd already discovered once, and which I'd already defeated the enemies in, which he knew, but wouldn't proceed in the quest line. Once we got back there, and the second we stepped inside, he finally opened his dialogue options to accept the evidence, concluding the mission, and heading back to Chorrol himself, unguided. And, listen, this wasn't the end of the world or anything. But if you're not accustomed to exactly how these sorts of little code trap happens, it can be very confusing, especially because he was willing to talk about the results of the mission but not respond like it had actually concluded. So, I'm sure that many others would have written the whole thing off as busted and never have been able to do another Fighters Guild mission on their playthrough. Thankfully, I am also a dumb NPC, though, so I could figure out what he needed. Anyway, that was the Modryn Oreyn kerfuffle that I went through. I took a pretty significant break from Oblivion after that, but I'll get back to it again soon. I'm not going to just leave it hanging there, I will finish it. Anyway, thanks for listening to me rant and ramble, bye-bye.